Hey there, fellow gamers and aspiring game designers. Welcome back to True Gaming. In today's video, we're diving into something really exciting for all the platforming enthusiasts out there, the art of designing a Celeste-inspired room. But here's the thing, it's not just about making a fun level, it's about understanding the mechanics that make Celeste rooms so perfectly punishing, yet deeply satisfying to conquer. And I'm going to show you how you can design your own challenging levels that keep players on their toes. So what exactly are we focusing on in this video? Well, it's all about breaking down the key elements of a Celeste room design. The one-way platforms, falling blocks, spikes, and all the clever tricks that make every room feel like a puzzle you need to solve. But instead of just showing you what Celeste does, I'm going to teach you how to design your own rooms that bring the same kind of challenge and excitement. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of room creation, let's take a step back and talk about the audience. Who is this video for? If you're a fan of Celeste, love challenging platformers, or even considering designing your own levels, this video is for you. Whether you're an experienced gamer looking to understand the intricacies of the game's design, or an aspiring game designer who wants to learn how to create your own Celeste-like levels, you're in the right place. Now, let's talk about tone. I want this video to feel approachable and fun. Game design doesn't have to be some super technical, complicated thing. We're here to learn, to experiment, and most importantly, to have fun with the process. So expect a mix of tips and tricks, a bit of technical insight, and, of course, a lot of gameplay moments that show just how rewarding it can be to design a challenging Celeste room that's both fair and fun to play. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of how to build your own rooms that test players' skills without feeling like they're unfair or frustrating. And who knows, you might even start building some levels that'll make other players curse your name, in the best possible way, of course. So, grab your controllers, fire up your Celeste editor, and let's get into it. This is going to be a fun ride, and I can't wait to see what kind of rooms you all come up with. Let's go! Alright. Before we dive into creating our own rooms, let's take a closer look at the mechanics that make Celeste rooms so memorable. If you've played Celeste before, you already know how complex and interconnected the game's mechanics are. The key to designing a good room is understanding the difference between elements and how they work together to create a satisfying challenge. Let's start with one of the most iconic elements in Celeste, one-way platforms. These platforms allow the player to pass through the bottom but not the top. It's a mechanic that can be used to force players into certain paths, creating tension as they have to carefully time their movements. Combine that with other elements like spikes or moving platforms, and suddenly you've got a really interesting challenge. These simpler mechanics like the one-way platform or something more advanced like the F blocks, the falling blocks that create urgency, are what makes Celeste so engaging. But how do we use them to build a level that keeps players engaged without becoming frustrating? To create a fun and engaging room, we need to choose the right combination of obstacles. In Celeste, you don't just throw a bunch of spikes or falling blocks into a room and call it a day. You need to think about timing, spacing, and flowing. The placement of spikes can force players to think critically about when to jump or dash, and the pacing of the obstacles can determine how difficult a room will feel. Take a look at this room. For example, notice how the difficulty ramps up progressively. It's not just about throwing the player into an impossible situation, but instead about creating a challenge that feels fair and satisfying to conquer. Now it's time to design your own room. The first step is planning the layout. It's easy to get carried away and start placing obstacles, but before you do that, take a moment to plan out how you want the room to flow. Think about the starting point, the obstacles the player will face, and where the finish line will be. Here's a rough sketch of the room I'm planning. I've added a few tricky obstacles to force the player into certain paths, along with some feathers to add the element of urgency. Once you have the layout planned, start adding obstacles, but here's the key: balance. If you add too many obstacles in one section, the room can become overwhelming. If there are too few, the room can feel too easy. The goal is to create a room where the player feels a sense of progression. The difficulty should build slowly, in a way that's satisfying. After placing the obstacles, go through your room and make sure it feels right. Is it too easy? Too hard? Try playing through it yourself, and don't be afraid to make adjustments as you go. The best levels are the ones that you iterate on. Adjust the pacing, timing, and placement of the obstacles until everything feels just right. One of the biggest challenges in room design is making sure your room is challenging, but not frustrating. A well-designed room should make the player feel like they can succeed, not like they're just stuck in an endless loop of failure. Here's a great example of a room that's challenging but not frustrating. The obstacles are spaced in such a way that the player has opportunity to breathe in between each challenge. There's always a way forward, and every failure is a chance to learn and improve. Balancing difficulty is key. As you design, think about the flow of the room. Are you giving the player enough time to react to obstacles? Are there moments where the challenges feel a little too much? Every room should have peaks and valleys, moments of high tension followed by moments where the player can take a breath and plan their next move. So there you have it, the basics of designing a Celeste-inspired room. By understanding the core mechanics, planning your room's layout, and balancing obstacles, you'll be well on your way to creating a room that challenges players in all the right ways. If you have enjoyed this video and like to see more of my content, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know why I decided to make this entire video with ChatGPT. It's kind of stupid, and it's taken me 2 hours. But yes, this whole script was also written by ChatGPT. I would never say stuff like this. What the hell? I've literally never said stuff like frickin' some stuff I've said in these sentences. But yeah. I hope you guys maybe enjoyed this video. Yeah. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye now.